At 7 p.m. on October 21st, 1978, a 20-year-old pilot named Frederick Valentik flew his small plane over a body of water just south of Australia called the Bass Strait. He'd just taken off from Melbourne, Australia, and his flight plan was to go 60 miles south to an island called King Island, because this represented the first time he'd actually be flying by himself at night. Only a few minutes into this flight, at 7:06 p.m., something strange happened. He suddenly became aware of a light coming from somewhere behind him. Remember, it's nighttime, so it's totally dark where he is, and so the only explanation was either that pilot was off course or Frederick was off course. So he grabs the radio and he gets a hold of Melbourne Air Traffic Control and he says, "Hey, there's this plane that is like right behind me. They're gaining on me. I'm worried they're gonna crash into me. Do I need to deviate? Like, what's going on here?" And they tell Frederick, there is no other aircraft anywhere near you. The light, the aircraft that was right behind him, has gotten right behind his. But at that very moment, it becomes very clear to Frederick that this is not some ordinary aircraft. This light suddenly began orbiting Frederick's aircraft. And at the same time, Frederick begins to hear the sound of his engine starting to fail. And so all Frederick could do is just grab the radio and begin talking to air traffic control about what he was seeing. The person Frederick actually spoke to on the ground in this moment was an air traffic controller in Melbourne named Steve Roby. Frederick clearly began talking about some sort of craft orbiting his own, and that his engine was starting to fail and he couldn't make an emergency landing. He was over water. And then suddenly Steve remembers hearing this grinding metallic sound come over the radio that basically washed out whatever Frederick was saying, and then it just goes deadly silent. And after that, Frederick disappeared. They never found his plane. There was no sign of a crash. He never landed at King Island or went back to Melbourne. Recently, that audio recording was made public. Here is the official explanation for what happened to Frederick. As he was flying over the Bass Strait, he flipped his plane upside down without realizing it, and the light that he was seeing was actually just a reflection off the water below of his own plane. And eventually, from flying upside down, his engine began to fail and he crashed into the Bass Strait. However, not everybody believes this explanation. Over the years leading up to this incident with Frederick, there had been so many reports of UFOs flying over the Bass Strait and also unexplained disappearances that they've dubbed the Bass Strait the Bass Strait Triangle. Frederick's disappearance remains a mystery. All we have is his final call for help.
Delta Sierra Juliet. What type of aircraft is it?
Somebody again.